I'll introduce myself to you soon, and then you'll understand who I am. With that, Chenluo gave him a level 8 crystal, promising, stick with me, and you'll be rewarded, and there'll always be food and drink. Just let me know what you want. Hearing this, Wan Jiangui acknowledged, I understand what I must do. With a wave of Chenluo's hand, Wan Jiangui was transported back to his room. Holding the crystal, he lamented, I'm sorry, brother Yu. I didn't want to do this, but the immortal holds me in high regard. Following this, Chenluo confidently headed to his base to show his strength and give a demonstration of his power. Sensing hostile intent, Yu shouted, who approaches and what is your purpose? Chenluo replied with a smile, my name is Chenluo. I'm here to introduce myself. I come from Divine Capital and plan to establish a branch of our Dawn City here. I heard that Brother Yi is a promising level 9 big shot around here. I've come specifically to visit and hope we can coexist peacefully. It would be unfortunate if it came to blows between us later on. Yi wasn't a fool either. He naturally noticed that Chenluo's strength surpassed his own. Thus, he hurriedly assured Chenluo, Brother Chen, don't worry, I promise nothing of that sort will happen. Since you're here, why not stay for a meal before you leave? However, Chenluo immediately declined Yu's kind offer. I have some matters to attend to, so I won't disturb you any longer. Suddenly, he lifted his left foot and exclaimed, why does my foot itch so much? Then, with a powerful stomp, the ground trembled as if struck by a magnitude 12 earthquake. Some weaker members were knocked off their feet. This scared Yu considerably, thinking, is he even human? While Wan Jiangui looked at Chenluo with eyes full of admiration, muttering to himself, if he's not an immortal, then how can a simple stomp have such power? Chenluo, with a grin, apologized. I'm really sorry. I didn't control my strength because my foot itched. I'll send over a gift later as an apology. With that, he vanished using void walking, leaving Yu disheveled in the wind, reflecting on his earlier assumption of being invincible. The realization of even more formidable beings in the world led him to immediately instruct his subordinates to avoid conflicts with Dawn City, with the decree that violators would be executed. At that moment, Chenluo had already arrived above Mi Ling's base, intending to check on its progress. Upon his arrival, he felt exhausted and slumped onto a sofa. After all, he hadn't rested properly since returning from the Poseidon Temple. Seeing Chenluo's fatigue, Mi Ling hesitated before asking, do you want me to massage your shoulders? Without any pretense, Chenluo replied, if you're offering, I'd gladly accept. As Mi Ling massaged his shoulders, she reported the situation on her end and sought his advice on future developments. Chenluo smiled gently and said, you have full authority here. Decide on its development as you see fit. Go ahead with confidence. No matter how it turns out, I've got your back. Mi Ling responded gratefully, I'm afraid I might not live up to your expectations. I can't imagine the hardships my sister and I would have faced if we hadn't met you. Unexpectedly, this made Chenluo feel a bit awkward. From his past life's memories, if Mi Ling and Mi Li hadn't encountered him, they would have already become rulers of a city by now. At that moment, Chenluo suddenly noticed fruit on the table. It was a rarity from his previous life. In fact, he had narrowly avoided starvation thanks to it in his past life. Thinking of this, he immediately asked Mi Ling where it came from. Upon hearing this, Mi Ling promptly mentioned that it was found on the hill behind the base. Getting the information, Chenluo used void walking to instantly arrive at the hill. There, he quickly found the coveted mirage fruit, which was not only delicious but also had many miraculous properties. But as he approached, a vine snapped towards him. Without hesitating, he used void walking again and appeared in front of a giant tree. With a thunderous sound, he uprooted the entire mutant mirage fruit tree, turning over the surrounding soil in the process. What he hadn't expected was to discover a rat's nest underneath. The alarmed rats charged at him aggressively. Without missing a beat, Chenluo unleashed a spatial cutting technique, swiftly eliminating all the rats. In just 2 minutes, he had dealt with them all. Holding the mirage fruit tree, he happily prepared to return to the base. Unknown to him, all this was witnessed by a mother rat, whose eyes seethed with deep-seated hatred. She watched Chenluo leave, but held back from revealing herself. The next morning, Chenluo received a telepathic message from Wan Jiangui. Your predictions are indeed accurate. You truly acquired a high-grade crystal today. Without delay, Chenluo used void walking to arrive at Wan Jiangui's base. At that moment, Yu was in high spirits, exclaiming, we must pop open a bottle of champagne to celebrate today. Unbeknownst to him, he had already been marked by a thief. With a wave of Chenluo's hand, a skillful spatial force made a slit in Yu's pocket. A milky white crystal dropped out, and in the next second, it appeared in Chenluo's hand. Upon inspecting the crystal, Chenluo's expression darkened. He muttered to himself, I got all excited for nothing. It's just a level 10 crystal. By now, Yu realized something was amiss. The once bulging crystal in his pocket was now gone. In shock, he shouted, where's my crystal? The quality of these trousers is so bad. I've only worn them for 2 days, and there's already a hole. Wan Jiangui, let's retrace our steps and find it. Hearing this, Wan Jiangui froze, thinking to himself, the immortal's methods are truly ingenious. He stealthily took Brother Yu's crystal without anyone noticing. Wait, it's not stealing. How can it be considered stealing when an immortal takes something? Meanwhile, on the other side, a group of men was bullying a young girl named Yin Ling. She was also a spatial ability user. her. Her presence would forever change Chenluo's life. The leader of the group lecherously said, "It's your good fortune that I've taken a liking to you. Don't get ahead of yourself. I am a level 7 powerhouse." Saying this, one of the goons lunged at Ling, but was instantly killed by her spatial cutting move. Seeing this, the lead man unleashed his powerful skill, the Ice Arrow Storm. However, Ling didn't retreat. Instead, she used her own move, spatial transfer. In a second, the man's skill was teleported right above them. Before they could react, the downpour of ice arrows caught them off guard. Though they suffered significant damage, Ling, exhausted from using so much of her ability, collapsed. Just as they were about to harm her further, a horrifying scream echoed from behind them. Turning around, they almost wet themselves in fear. A zombie heroically charged out, not only slaughtering over a dozen of the goons, but also warning the remaining ones to run if they didn't want to die. Ling, seizing the opportunity, tried to escape, but her path was blocked by an ice wall cast by the zombie. It shouted, "The rest can leave, but you, girl, you stay. Your flesh looks tender." As the zombie got closer, Ling thought she had no other option but to use a certain skill. If she couldn't shake off this zombie in 10 seconds, her life would end here. With that thought, she unleashed her trump card. The next second, the zombie's lunging arm went straight through her body. Before the zombie could figure out what happened, Ling took off in a full sprint, but the zombie pursued her relentlessly, as if madly in love, vowing not to give up until it caught her. However, after only 9 seconds, Ling, drained of all her energy, collapsed. The zombie approached her with a sinister cackle, taunting, "Run. Why aren't you running? Weren't you so good at it just now?" Just as the zombie was about to feast, a humanoid figure suddenly stepped in front of Ling. It was the dashing and suave Thunder King, also known as the Dog Elder of Dawn City. As his power grew, Thunder King's body had evolved into a humanoid form. Seeing a zombie daring to harass a woman in broad daylight, Thunder King didn't waste time talking. Without hesitation, he swiped the zombie onto the ground. After just 3 swipes, the zombie was dead. Extracting a crystal from the creature, Thunder King realized it was just an 8th level mutant, which was somewhat disappointing. However, when his gaze shifted to the girl on the ground, a painful memory from his past resurfaced in his mind. After escaping from Ling Weiwei's clutches back in the day, Thunder King was taken in by a kind-hearted elderly woman. Ling was the granddaughter of this benevolent old lady. Thunder King had spent a peaceful period of his life in the old woman's home. However, this tranquility didn't last long. The elderly lady soon succumbed to a severe illness, and Ling was taken back by her parents. Thunder King once again became a stray. Recalling this, Thunder King gently lifted Ling from the ground, whispering to himself, "I can't be wrong. She's the old lady's granddaughter. As long as there's food in my mouth, I'll ensure you never go hungry." He immediately brought Ling back to their base. After explaining everything to his master, Thunder King firmly stated that he would bear all of Ling's future expenses. Stammering slightly, Ling said, "Hello, sir. My name is Ling. I'm a level 6 spatial ability user." Hearing this, Chenluo was taken aback. He was all too familiar with that name. In his past life, she was a prodigious talent and spatial abilities, mastering many powerful skills, surpassing Chenluo in this regard. However, the Ling from his previous life was nothing like the innocent young girl before him. Her face was disfigured, and she lacked both sides of her cheeks. She was also fierce and brutal. Chenluo deduced that her personality change was likely due to the trauma from her disfigurement. Regardless, this young girl was a prodigious talent and spatial abilities, and she knew skills he didn't possess in his previous life. This seemed like a golden opportunity. With that thought, Chenluo decided to take Ling as his disciple. Without wasting any time, he grabbed Ling's wrist and used the void walking technique to soar above the base, and then swiftly return to the ground. Chenluo thought, "This skill was my unique move from my previous life." Ling was envious of it. "There's no way she won't want to learn it from me." Witnessing this display, Ling became deep in thought. She had always believed her spatial talent was exceptional, but in front of Chenluo, it seemed insignificant. "If I had mastered this technique, I wouldn't have been in such a mess just now," she pondered. Without hesitation, she knelt to the ground and exclaimed, "Disciple Ling pays respects to master." Just as Chenluo was reveling in the joy of acquiring Ling as his disciple, Rice suddenly rushed over, shouting, "Chenluo, something terrible has happened. I've foreseen that Ling is in grave danger." This startled Chenluo, who immediately asked Rice about the specifics. Rice replied, "I'm not entirely sure, but if you go, not only will her crisis be averted, but Ling will also reap a huge benefit." Without giving it a second thought, Chenluo instantly used void walking to appear above Ling's base. Sure enough, at that moment, an enemy base with over 1,000 members launched a surprise attack on Ling's base, taking advantage of the absence of many of her members who were out gathering supplies. Ling didn't hesitate. She unleashed her Red Lotus fire, which enveloped her, and charged headlong into the enemy's main forces. In that moment, Ling resembled a starving tiger tearing through a flock of sheep, casting her spells and setting ablaze everything in her path. Any enemy near her met a swift end. In no time, she decimated the invaders. This left Chenluo, who was observing from a hidden location, utterly speechless. He thought, how can this be considered a life-threatening situation for her? It seemed more like she single single-handedly crushed an entire base. But Chenluo had faith in Rice's predictions, believing something else must be about to transpire. Thinking this, he used void walking to discreetly follow Mi Ling, vowing not to let her out of his sight. Unbeknownst to him, one of the enemy had managed to escape the scene. The escapee soon located a sleazy-looking, short-statured man named Ma Shuai, also known as the Spectre of Death. The man, seeking revenge for his fallen comrades, told Ma Shuai, "If you can help me take my revenge, I'll willingly hand over half of our base's supplies." As he spoke, he handed Ma Shuai a portrait of his enemy, but to his shock, upon seeing the portrait, Ma Shuai became livid. Without warning, he slapped the man across the face. The man, completely taken aback, tried to ask Ma Shuai for an explanation, but before he could finish his sentence, Ma Shuai slapped him again, this time shouting, "Jiang Chen, tear this worthless fool apart." The next second, the man was torn in half by a puppet standing beside Ma Shuai. Ma Shuai then lecherously stared at Mi Ling's portrait, murmuring, "It's been 5 years, but my goddess is still as beautiful as ever. Back then, I wasn't even worthy of being your lapdog, but now, I must make you my servant. You'll accompany me forever, just like Jiang Chen does. My dear, wait for me, I'm coming for you." This man was Ma Shuai, a high school classmate of Mi Ling's, and one of her many obsessive followers. When he learned that Mi Ling had established a base nearby, he immediately led his army of puppets to attack. The sentinels at Mi Ling's base were terrified and shouted, "The army of the undead is coming. Quickly, notify Sister Mi Ling." Upon hearing the news, Mi Ling rushed to the entrance. Ma Shuai, with a sleazy smile, greeted her. "Mi Ling, my dear, do you remember me? I'm Ma Shuai. We went to the same high school." Mi Ling was taken aback because she had no recollection of this Ma Shuai. She retorted, "I don't know you. Why have you brought these monstrous creatures to my base?" Infuriated, Ma Shuai shouted, "How dare you, you ungrateful woman. Soon, you'll never forget my name. Undead army, attack. Leave no one standing." Seeing the threat, Mi Ling didn't hesitate and unleashed a fire skill, obliterating the charging undead. But Ma Shuai remained unfazed, taunting, "Using such a petty trick in front of me? Jiang Chen, go and bring Mi Ling to me." Mi Ling's anger flared at his words. She summoned the red lotus fire and transformed into a firebird, charging at Jiang Chen. The moment she landed, Jiang Chen was instantly engulfed in roaring flames. After a piercing scream, the level 8 puppet was reduced to ashes by the red lotus fire. Yet Ma Shuai remained calm. With a loud chant of puppet resurrection technique, the next second saw Jiang Chen, previously burned to nothingness, reappear in front of Mi Ling. It was then that Mi Ling had a realization: to defeat the minions, one must first target the master. With that in mind, she dashed straight towards Ma Shuai. What she didn't expect was that Ma Shuai didn't retreat. Instead, he opened his arms and allowed Mi Ling to strike him down. Although Mi Ling was perplexed by this, she rejoiced when she saw him burn to nothing. However, Chenluo, who was observing from a distance, wasn't convinced. He knew that a necromancer capable of crafting a level 8 puppet couldn't be defeated so easily. Before Mi Ling could celebrate her victory, a sleazy voice came from behind her. "They say big breasts mean no brains, and it seems they're right." She turned around to find 3 identical Ma Shuais mocking her in unison. "You got complacent after destroying one of my puppets. How does it feel to be drained after using 2 of your big moves? Jiang Chen, kill her for me. I want to make her my puppet servant." Just as he was about to reach Mi Ling, Chenluo suddenly appeared between them using the void walking skill. He swiftly raised his right hand and delivered a powerful slap to Ma Shuai's face, sending the creepy man flying several meters away. He then helped Mi Ling up and said, "Sorry, I was late. Are you okay?" Although Chenluo had initially wanted to let Mi Ling handle this on her own for experience, he couldn't bear to see her tormented. He coldly said, "You rest up. I can handle these clowns in 2 seconds." Unexpectedly, Mi Ling publicly declined Chenluo's assistance, stating, "I don't want to live under your protection forever. I have one more ultimate move that I haven't used. I've been hesitant because if I don't control it well, it could backlash on me. If I fail, you can intervene then." While Chenluo didn't want her to take this risk, Mi Ling was determined. She insisted on ending the battle with her ultimate move. With no other choice, Chenluo reluctantly agreed. After all, a flower sheltered in a greenhouse cannot grow to its full potential. Mi Ling then waved her hand, and the bird formed from the scarlet lotus flames soared once again. What Chenluo hadn't expected was that the fiery bird didn't target Ma Shuai or Jiang Chen. Instead, it turned and headed straight towards Mi Ling herself. This greatly alarmed Chenluo. He thought to himself, "No wonder she said using this move might backfire. But isn't this more like self-harm than backfire?" Given the intense heat of the scarlet lotus flames, Chenluo wasn't sure what consequences Mi Ling might face by attacking herself. This might very well be the life-threatening situation Rice had prophesied. Although Chenluo internally debated intervening, he ultimately chose to trust Rice's words because Rice had also mentioned that as long as Chenluo was present, Mi Ling would not only be safe but would also reap a great benefit. At this moment, Mi Ling looked calm, silently awaiting the fire's embrace. The next instant, she suddenly opened her eyes, appearing as if she had undergone rebirth in the scarlet lotus flames. The flames now seemed like a battle armor wrapping around her, revealing only her alluring face. Seeing this, Chenluo's eyes widened in astonishment, for he was all too familiar with with this form of Mi Ling. It was one of her ultimate moves from her past life, the Scarlet Lotus transformation. This was the true embodiment of the Blood Rose Spirit Flame Princess. Highlighted by the Scarlet Lotus flames, Mi Ling started to float gently. She then suddenly rushed above Ma Shuai. With a swift motion of her hand, 2 balls of Scarlet Lotus flames darted towards Ma Shuai like fierce dragons. This terrified Ma Shuai, who without a second thought started to flee. However, the Scarlet Lotus flames seemed sentient, relentlessly pursuing the duo. Soon, they were encircled by these 2 fiery dragons. It was only then that Qianluo finally sighed in relief, thinking to himself, it seems this creep won't be escaping today. A deafening explosion followed, and the sleazy man was instantly blasted to pieces by the terrifying strike. The shockwave of the explosion also swept away the entire undead army present, but just then, Mi Ling fell from the sky, suddenly losing consciousness midair. Fortunately, Qianluo caught her in time using a void walking, saving her from a disastrous fall. Looking at the stubborn young woman in his arms, Qianluo couldn't help but exclaim, "You really love to push yourself too hard, don't you? I wonder if the crystal inside you is shattered." He immediately checked Mi Ling's condition. Thankfully, she was okay. She had merely fainted due to overusing her abilities. Afterward, Qianluo, weary from the day's events, returned to Dawn City. Seeing her husband return to the base, Mi Li quickly approached and asked about her sister's condition. Qianluo smiled slightly and replied, "She's fine now." Not only did Mi Ling survive the crisis, but she also mastered a powerful skill called Scarlet Lotus Transformation. Now, no one with abilities below level 9 can match her. Mi Li sighed with relief after hearing this. Then, she said urgently, "There are some important things I need to tell you. First, according to Rice's prophecy, many zombies will evolve to level 6 tomorrow, and some of our members were killed while out on a mission today." Qianluo was taken aback and immediately asked, "Which base dared to harm our Dawn City members?" To which Mi Li replied, "It wasn't a base. It was a group of unaffiliated individuals. Sudashu captured one of them and learned they've been surviving by eating rats. They resented us for our abundance and comfort, so they sought revenge." Upon hearing this, Qianluo commented that these types of people are the most difficult to deal with because they are reckless and fear nothing. From now on, he ordered, when someone goes out on a mission, there should be at least 10 people together. This way, those unaffiliated individuals won't be a threat. Mi Li praised Qianluo for his smart thinking. She then added, "Yin Ling told me she's located the enemies who were after her. They reside at the EU base." Hearing this, Qianluo immediately sat upright, declaring loudly, "How dare they bully my disciple, Qianluo's student? As her master, I must help her regain her honor. It's also a good opportunity to put the nearby EU in their place." Meanwhile, at another location, Yin Ling's enemy, Li Lian, was celebrating his birthday at his base. Yu was also invited for the feast. A curious man then remarked, "Brother Lian, I heard that a young girl recently killed several level 6 powerhouses from your base in a matter of seconds. Is that true?" Li Lian chuckled. "Indeed, it's true, but that woman is now in pieces. Her ability was indeed unique. She was a spatial type power user. She had a signature move called Spatial Slash that could kill anyone below level 7 instantly. It's as if with just a glance, the person would be dismembered, but I'm at level 7, so her technique has no effect on me." Upon hearing this, Yellow Hair quickly replied, "That explains a lot. I once saw Qianluo use this technique in Divine Capital. He killed a level 6 powerhouse with just a look, which made him famous there. So, this move only works on those below level 7. I need to return to Divine Capital and expose him." Suddenly, a shout came from outside. "Brother Lian, someone has breached our base." Peering closer, they saw Qianluo and Yin Ling strolling in. Qianluo shouted, "Who was the blind fool that bullied my disciple? Step forward, or face my wrath." Pointing to the people above, Yin Ling angrily said, "Master, it was them who wanted to kill me." Qianluo responded, "I won't bully you all." But before he could finish, Yellow Hair interrupted with a mocking grin. "Oh, isn't this the great leader of Dawn City, Chen? We've just uncovered the trick behind your gaze kill technique. It's called Spatial Slash, right? It only works on those below level 7, doesn't it? I'm going back to Divine Capital tomorrow to expose your scam. I'm already at level 7. What can you do to me?" However, before Yellow Hair could finish his taunts, a spatial force sliced off half of his head, followed swiftly by one of his arms. Qianluo coldly retorted, "Do you still think I'm a fraud now?" In agony and disbelief, Yellow Hair screamed at Li Lian, "Didn't you say Spatial Slash wouldn't work on level 7 users? You've killed me." No sooner had he spoken than Qianluo used his Spatial Slash to decapitate Yellow Hair. With a smirk, he said, "I, Qianluo, am not unreasonable. The 2 who tried to assassinate my disciple must die today. Those uninvolved can be spared." However, a voice suddenly came from behind Li Lian. "It was you, Brother Chen. Long time no see. My friends truly didn't know Yin Ling was your disciple. Ignorance should be pardoned. Besides, your disciple is unharmed. Can you give me face and spare them?" Qianluo replied with a faint smile. "By the sound of it, Brother Yi, you want to protect these 2? Instead of answering directly, Yi took out a level 7 spatial crystal and said, "Let bygones be bygones. Consider this crystal as compensation." Qianluo instantly realized that Yi was trying to win him over. Even though he accepted the crystal, he didn't really give Yi face, as that that would undermine his own authority. Seeing this, Yu hastily added, if they ever offend you again, you won't need to lift a finger, I'll deal with them myself. But Qianluo wasn't impressed, asserting, no one who has ever offended me lived to tell the tale, including you, Yu. If you dare cross me, you'll meet the same fate as them. With a wave of his hand, the two culprits were instantly cut into 8 pieces by his spatial slash. After doing so, he coldly added, if anyone can withstand the retaliation of a level 10 power user, feel free to conspire against me behind my back. Yu, come talk about face when you reach level 10. This infuriated Yu. He muttered to himself, damn you, Qianluo, your arrogance won't last long. When the mutant I've been nurturing dies, that'll be the day I end you. It turns out, 2.5 days earlier, Yu had encountered a king-level mutant in the wild. Desperate to obtain its crystal by causing its death, Yu shockingly knelt before the mutant, pledging allegiance and promising to provide it with fresh prey daily. Meanwhile, elsewhere, shortly after leaving Li Liang's base, Qianluo ran into Wan Jiangui, who had been waiting for him. Wan Jiangui excitedly reported, Master Chen, there's significant news. Yu has found another king-level mutant and has kept it in the woods near our base. Currently, Yu only trusts me and Gao Yiheng, so he's planning to take us with him tomorrow to feed the creature. Master, what should be my next move? Qianluo replied with a faint smile. Well done, Wan Jiangui. You've made a significant contribution. Once this matter is resolved, you'll be handsomely rewarded. Tomorrow, when you go to feed the creature, use telepathy to notify me. The next morning, as Yu led Wan Jiangui and others to feed the mutant, Wan Jiangui secretly informed Qianluo of their location. However, as soon as he arrived, the king-level mutant sensed something amiss. With a swift movement, it aimed a palm strike at where Qianluo was hiding, shouting, who's skulking around there? Show yourself. Qianluo brazenly replied, what a coincidence, Brother Yi. I never expected to bump into you during a stroll. How could you associate with a creature like this? Is this beast blackmailing you? Don't worry, I'm here to help eliminate it. Then please, Master Chen. He then whispered to himself, this guy is only level 10, and he dares to brag about defeating a king-level mutant? My luck knows no bounds. Wasting no time, Qianluo used void walking to teleport behind the mutant, raising his void sword to decapitate it. Unexpectedly, the mutant reacted with lightning speed. It employed an earth stomp technique, thwarting Qianluo's surprise attack. The mutant then swung its claws at Qianluo. Fortunately, due to Qianluo's agility, he narrowly evaded the blow. He silently thought to himself, had I not possessed near king-level strength, I would have been finished just now. This king-level mutant is truly formidable. The mutant summoned 3 earth elemental giants to attack Qianluo. Fortunately, these mud figures were no match for him. After attacking Qianluo continuously for 2 minutes, they couldn't even touch a single hair on his head. Witnessing this, the bystanders were utterly astonished, exclaiming, is Qianluo really this powerful? Is he truly just a level 10 superpower? Only Wan Jiangui remained calm, thinking, it's no surprise, given that he's like an immortal. How could a mere mutant be a match for Master Chen? This utterly infuriated the king-level mutant, who shouted, arrogant child, I'll tear you to pieces. With that, it unleashed a move called Dynamic Light Wave. Unexpectedly, Qianluo was caught off guard and was directly hit in the heart by this terrifying attack. He then plummeted from the sky and crashed into the ground. Seeing this, Yu feigned concern and shouted, Brother Chen, are you alright? Why were you so reckless? But before he could finish his sentence, Qianluo quickly got up and cheekily flashed a scissors gesture at him. With a playful tone, he said, Brother Yi, how's my acting? I was just messing with this mutant. He then changed his tone. I've already given you a chance. If you can't take it, it's not my fault. Do you want to learn about a one-way ticket to hell? Hearing this, the mutant was utterly shattered, repeatedly muttering, this can't be. How can someone survive after taking my most powerful attack? Before Qianluo could even accelerate time to affect the mutant, the creature coincidentally met its end. This scared Yu, who thought to himself, this mutant's timing of death couldn't be worse. Who does the crystal belong to now? At that moment, Yu felt a deep sense of regret. The king-level mutant he had discovered ended up benefiting someone else. Wan Jiangui, always observant, noticed Yu's desire for the crystal and his hesitance to speak up in front of Qianluo. Seeing an opportunity to assert himself, he immediately pointed at Qianluo and shouted, listen here, kid, my big brother was the first to discover this mutant. The crystal rightfully belongs to him. Don't force me to take action against you. Hearing Wan Jiangui's words, Yu was deeply moved. He thought to himself, Wan Jiangui, you truly are my loyal brother. However, what they didn't expect was that, upon hearing this, Qianluo didn't attack. Instead, he generously stated, I, Qianluo, am not an unreasonable person. Since you found the mutant first, you can extract the crystal, but I'll only give you 10 seconds. Hearing this, Yu didn't hesitate. He immediately conjured a superpowered blade and approached the mutant. He fiercely struck the mutant's forehead multiple times, but to his surprise, after more than 10 strikes with all his might, he couldn't even scratch the mutant's scalp. This amused Qianluo greatly, who thought, a level 9 like you trying to open the head of a king-level mutant without at least 3 to 5 minutes. It's impossible. Qianluo then laughed. Brother Yi, you've been at it for almost a minute. Isn't it my turn now? With that, he conjured his void sword. He skillfully extracted a king-level crystal from the mutant's head. Patting Yu on the shoulder, he said, Brother Yi, see, you can't blame me for this. I gave you a chance, but you couldn't seize it. So, until we meet again. Hearing this, Yu was so furious that he sat down hard on the ground, shouting, Chenluo, I swear I'll make you pay double for this in the future. Seeing this, his two subordinates hurriedly helped him up. At that moment, Gao Ying gravely said, Boss, I don't think Chenluo had any ill intentions. He even let you extract the crystal first. I believe there's no need to see him as an enemy. Upon hearing this, Yu quickly responded, Do you think his sudden appearance here was a coincidence? If I remember correctly, before he arrived, you had an excuse to leave for a while, didn't you? Gao Ying hastily explained that he had an upset stomach, asking, Boss, you can't possibly think that I'm a mole who informed Chenluo, can you? Wan Jiangui also quickly jumped in, saying, I believe Gao isn't that kind of person. Could there be some misunderstanding here? Upon hearing this, Yu immediately said, Wan Jiangui, some people can be known by their appearance, but not by their heart. Never be deceived by their exterior. He stole my crystal, and you tell me not to consider him an enemy? What benefits has Chenluo given you? You're a treacherous traitor. At this point, Gao Ying realized that once trust is broken, no matter how much he tried to explain, it would be seen as a mere excuse in Yu's eyes. Thus, he chose to remain silent. Seeing Gao Ying's silence, Yu slapped him on the forehead, shouting, So you have nothing to say now that I've exposed you? Wan Jiangui, watching from the side, was quite alarmed. He thought to himself, Thank goodness Yu brought two of us along this trip. Otherwise, I'd definitely be dead. In the future, I must be more cautious in my actions. I'm sorry, Gao. You took the blame for me. Little did they know, Chenluo hadn't left at all. He was observing everything from the shadows. After the two left, Chenluo used void walking to approach Gao Ying. He whispered, I'm sorry, my friend. In your past life, you were a loyal king-level warrior, devoted to Yu, and you fought to your death without leaving his side. Because of my presence, you died. Rest assured, I'll give you a proper burial. But as he was speaking, Chenluo suddenly noticed a slight movement in Gao Ying's fingers. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yu suddenly remembered that he had forgotten to extract Gao Ying's crystal. Even though a level 7 crystal is of no use to me, it would be useful for Wan Jiangui. Let's hurry back. As they turned back, they happened to witness Chenluo carrying away Gao Ying's body. This scene further confirmed Yu's suspicions. Indeed, Gao Ying must have been working for Chenluo. Otherwise, why would Chenluo come back to take his body? At this moment, Chenluo had already brought Gao Ying back to his base. As soon as they entered, Chenluo ordered the light faction to spare no effort in saving Gao Ying. 2 hours later, Gao Ying slowly opened his eyes and looked at Chenluo by his bedside. He quickly asked, We have no relation. Why did you save me? Chenluo earnestly began to weave a tale. You were lucky to meet me. When I saw you still had a breath left, I couldn't bear to see you take your crystal. So, I took you away from him. Whether you believe it or not, everything I do is to ensure the survival of humanity in this apocalypse. Now, you have two choices. The first is to join my Dawn City. You can observe my actions, and then decide whether you want to join us. The second choice is to pretend I never saved you and end it all yourself. Think it over, and when you've decided, come find me. With that, Chenluo turned and left. Immediately after, he eagerly returned to his room to absorb the king-level crystal he had just obtained. He needed to quickly advance to the king level to face Poseidon. The longer he waited, the more king-level creatures would emerge in the sea. By then, dealing with Poseidon would not be so simple. Moreover, he planned to nominate the Sea Princess as the new Poseidon to realize his tripartite plan. Currently, he was the leader of the strongest human base. Big Strong led the most potent zombie base, and only the marine domain was left. So, you had to work hard for humanity. Chenluo thought, when I can reach the king level depends on you. But at that moment, Gao Ying suddenly sought out Chenluo and said, Brother Chen, I've made up my mind. After this incident, I've seen you use true colors. My life was saved by you. From now on, I will follow you loyally. Hearing this, Chenluo gave a slight smile and said, You'll be proud of the choice you made today. Rest up and recover first. In a few days, I'll have someone brief you on the rules of our base. With the matter of Gao Ying settled, Chenluo decided to scout Poseidon's palace and fetch some seafood for Thunder King on the side. They were almost out of the mackerel from last time. Without hesitation, he used void walking to arrive at Poseidon's palace. However, he didn't spot Poseidon. Regardless of Poseidon's whereabouts, his primary goal was the seafood. Not wasting any time, he quickly chose a 2-ton orca, thinking to himself, this should be enough for Thunder King for a while. He then unleashed a dimensional blade skill. Before the orca could react, it was instantly killed by Chenluo, who subsequently retrieved its crystal and stored its body in his dimensional space. The scene terrified the surrounding sea creatures, who exclaimed in horror, He's terrifying. He took down a level 10 orca instantly. Chenluo coldly declared, All you sea creatures listen up. Anyone who continues to follow by Hao and causes trouble, I'll kill on sight. If you don't want to die, you can join me. Hearing this, the sea creatures scattered in fear. Roughly 2 hours later, Baihao finally returned to Poseidon's palace. The sea creatures immediately informed him, Lord Poseidon, you're finally back. While you were away, that Chenluo attacked our palace again. He killed one of our brothers and threatened that if we continue to follow you, he'll wipe us all out. This enraged Baihao, who shouted, Has that brat lost his mind? I haven't even settled the score with him, and he's already already provoking me? This time, whether he hides at the ends of the earth or the deepest corners of the sea, I'll find him and tear him to pieces. Just recently, this dog stole 3 golden eggs from the golden eagle. That's why the golden eagle has been chasing it all the way to the base. Seeing this, Chenluo quickly asks Thunder King what's going on. But before he could finish speaking, Sea Princess suddenly bursts out shouting, "What blind fool dares to run rampant in my Dawn City? Are you asking for death?" Seeing that the foolish bird has no intention of leaving, Sea Princess didn't waste words and immediately bound it with a force of darkness. At that moment, Dog Elder grinned and said, "Master, taming this golden eagle as your mount would be a good choice. Go ahead and start your performance now." Seeing this, Chenluo didn't hesitate and lightly patted Thunder King on its back, while shouting, "What's wrong with you, learning to steal other people's children? I'm going to break your dog legs today." This really frightened the golden eagle on the side, who thought to itself, "What's going on? Isn't this dog supposed to be powerful? Even I am not its match. Why is it being disciplined so harshly now?" Before it could figure out the situation, Chenluo handed the golden eggs back to it, saying, "My brother didn't know better. I apologize on his behalf. I'm returning your eggs now. You can go back." With that, Chenluo gave Sea Princess a look, hinting for her to play the bad cop. Seeing this, Sea Princess didn't hesitate and shouted right away, "What do you think this place is? You think you can come and go as you please? You attacked our Dawn City. I won't be satisfied until you're punished for years." This amused Chenluo to no end, who thought to himself, "My sister really knows how to handle things." Then he said with a resigned face, "Golden Eagle, look at this mess. I want to let you go, but my sister disagrees. How about this? Stay in my base for a while, and once my sister cools down, I'll let you leave. How does that sound?" Thunder King, ever perceptive, jumped in, shouting, "We don't keep idle birds here. If you stay, you must work. My master needs a mount. Are you willing?" But before he could finish, the golden eagle began shaking its head non-stop, becoming increasingly agitated. At that moment, Rice suddenly popped out and said, "It says, it's better to die than to be humiliated. Although you look like a good person, you obviously aren't strong enough. Even if I, the golden eagle, have to die, I won't serve as a mount to a weakling. You might as well kill me." Hearing this, Chenluo felt like he'd been struck by lightning. Someone actually dares to call me weak? Do I really look that weak? Fine, it must be because I haven't taken action against it yet. It probably misunderstands my strength. Today, I'm going to use my overwhelming power to conquer this arrogant golden eagle. Chenluo immediately shouted, "You dare to call this Lord of the Void weak? Then how about we make a bet? I'll let you leave with the eggs, and I'll stand right here, not moving. If you can get out of the boundary of my Dawn City, I promise no one will stop you. But if you can't make it out, you'll have to become my mount. How about that?" Upon hearing this offer, the golden eagle didn't hesitate and agreed to the bet, thinking to itself, "This Chenluo is really a good person. Isn't he just intentionally letting me go?" With that thought, it launched into the air, soaring into the sky at a speed of 1,200 yards per second. Seeing this, Chenluo was not alarmed but delighted, thinking to himself, "My mount is going to be so amazing. No matter what, I must make this golden eagle mine today." By this point, the golden eagle was almost out of Dawn City's boundary, but Chenluo remained calm. With a shout of spatial banishment, the golden eagle was mysteriously sent back to the starting point the next second. Although shocked beyond belief, the golden eagle once again took to the skies. However, after several attempts, each time it was about to fly out of Dawn City, Chenluo would use spatial banishment to teleport it back to the starting point. This left it utterly distraught, thinking to itself, "Why can't I just fly out of here? Why is it like I'm walking in circles? This Chenluo's power is far too unfathomable." At that moment, Chenluo said with a smile, "Don't waste your energy. You can't escape my 5-finger mountain. A bet is a bet. Are you willing to become my mount? Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. I guarantee you and your offspring will be well taken care of." This move instantly humbled the proud golden eagle, who immediately prostrated itself before Chenluo in submission, signaling its willingness to become his mount. Chenluo didn't stand on ceremony, jumping onto the golden eagle's back without a second thought, and commanded it to fly at full speed around Dawn City. Seeing that his master had successfully acquired a new mount, Thunder King once again ventured out of Dawn City to hunt for crystals and earn points. Soon, he spotted a white figure nearby. He discovered it was a woman in white, who appeared to be a zombie. Strangely, this zombie woman was not only clean and neatly dressed, but she was also exceptionally graceful. If it wasn't for her red eyes, Thunder King would have mistaken her for a human girl. Just at that moment, a group of survivors happened to pass by, pointing at the woman in white and exclaiming, "Look at that female zombie over there. She's so beautiful." Being single for so long, even zombies are starting to look refined. "Today, I want to try something new. Let's see how different this zombie is from humans." Hearing this, the woman was first stunned, then shouted, "Why do you ignorant humans call me a zombie? Can't you tell I'm White Gull?" As soon as she spoke, the survivors lunged at White Gull like wolves. She didn't entertain them and shouted, "If you no longer wish to live, then I shall grant you that wish." No sooner had she spoken than she instantly killed them all with a single move. This scared Thunder King, who was hiding nearby. He muttered to himself that this zombie definitely has king-level strength. "I must notify the master immediately, or my life is at risk today." At that moment, Chenluo was busy instructing his subordinates to build a mansion for Golden Eagle. Zhao Zi suddenly ran over shouting, shouting, "Big brother Chen, something terrible has happened." Thunder King sent an emergency message, saying he's encountered a king-level zombie. Please go and provide backup immediately. Meanwhile, White Gull noticed Thunder King hiding behind a rock and menacingly approached him. Seeing this, she didn't waste any time and easily moved the rock that was hiding Thunder King with a wave of her hand. This instantly shocked Thunder King, who was thankful that Chenluo arrived just in time. Otherwise, his life would have truly been in jeopardy. Chenluo's first reaction upon seeing White Gull was that she was indeed a king-level mutation, for the simple reason that zombies have red eyes, which is also the simplest way to distinguish between humans and zombies. What he didn't know was that White Gull was actually a red-eyed seagull, whose eyes remained red even after taking on human form. At that moment, White Gull curiously asked, "What exactly do you want to do with me? Black Dog, answer my question." As soon as she spoke, Thunder King was instantly hypnotized by White Gull, and without hesitation, revealed their intent. "We want to get your crystal." This infuriated White Gull, who shouted, "We have no past grudges, nor present disputes. Why do you seek to kill me for my crystal?" Chenluo didn't respond, but instead secretly accelerated time around White Gull. Much to his surprise, it appeared to have no effect on her. In that instant, he realized that she wasn't a mutated being. Could she be a regular zombie that had reached king level? No wonder she showed no signs of collapsing despite his prolonged time acceleration. Just then, White Gull also sensed that something was off, and quickly questioned what Chenluo was doing to her. Due to the massive consumption of his special ability while using time acceleration, Chenluo decided to abandon the idea of engaging her further. He immediately performed a void walking technique and disappeared from the spot with Thunder King. This infuriated White Gull, who shouted, "Cowardly humans, come out at once. What skill is there in hiding?" Having said that, she reverted to her true form and flew into the sky, looking for any trace of the man and the dog. Meanwhile, Yu stumbled upon a highly poisonous flower. To get rid of Chenluo, he immediately collected the flower's toxic pollen. However, he was unsure if this could kill a level 10 being. To test the toxicity of the flower, he poured 2 grams of the pollen into water and handed the glass to one of his level 8 physical-based subordinates, telling him to drink it quickly. The subordinate hastily said, "Boss, I'm not thirsty. You should keep it for yourself." But before he could finish speaking, Yu forcibly opened his mouth and poured the water down his throat, shouting, "If I say drink, you drink. No more nonsense." No sooner had he spoken, the subordinate took a half step back, began bleeding from all orifices and collapsed to the ground with a thud. This greatly alarmed Wan Jiangui, who was nearby, who exclaimed, "Brother Yu, he's one of us." But Yu was unfazed, and said that if he could get rid of Chenluo, killing a level 8 subordinate was inconsequential, since a little bit of pollen can kill a level 8 physical-based being. Increasing the dose will surely kill Chenluo. "I'll send someone to Dawn City right away to invite Chenluo to a feast, telling him that I am willing to submit to him. Once the pollen is mixed into his food and drink, even if he takes just one bite, he'll be severely injured if not killed." Meanwhile, Rice calculated that Chenluo's dinner party would be a bloodbath. This greatly alarmed him, as he initially thought the king-level female zombie they encountered during the day might seek revenge. So, he immediately summoned Sea Princess and congealed Frost for protection. Just then, Chen Guang's voice came through the walkie-talkie. "Brother Chen, Yu has sent a message saying he wants to join our Dawn City. He has set a banquet for tonight and invites you to attend." Hearing this, Chenluo chuckled. "Reply to them that I will certainly attend the banquet tonight." He thought to himself, it seems the bloodbath Rice mentioned must be from Yu. Later, as promised, he arrived at Yu's base, curious about what Yu was planning. Upon meeting, Yu expressed a strong desire to join Dawn City. Hearing this, Chenluo didn't hold back. He immediately said, "If you want to be my subordinate, you must bow down to me, following the rules of Dawn City." Hearing this, Yu was stunned, wondering what kind of rule this was. Seeing Yu's hesitation, Chenluo smirked. "If you can't even show this bit of sincerity, we should just say our goodbyes." What Yu didn't expect was, at the critical moment, Wan Jiangui stepped forward and bowed 3 times to Chenluo. Seeing this, Yu thought, a small concession can lead to a greater plan. It was not easy to invite him here. If I don't bow, how can he stay for dinner? Thinking this, Yu immediately knelt down and shouted, "Big brother," muttering to himself, "You just wait, Chenluo, I'll make you pay double." At that moment, Chenluo said solemnly, "Get up, from now on we are brothers." Yu then quickly ordered his subordinates to serve the prepared meal, saying, "Big brother, you've traveled a long way. Please taste the food and see if it's to your liking." Chenluo was no fool. He knew that if something seemed off, something was definitely wrong. From the moment he picked up the sausage, Yu was staring directly at him. It was obvious that something was added to the food. Just then, Wan Jiangui suddenly shouted, "Master Chen, don't eat it. The sausage is highly poisonous. This poison can instantly kill a level 8 physical-based being. Yu wants to use it to kill you." Upon hearing this, Yu was completely stunned, then shouted, "Wan Jiangui, do you know what you're saying?" Unexpectedly, after finding out the situation, Chenluo didn't rush to kill Yu. Instead, he wanted to provoke him further, because he clearly remembered that Yu was a dual system ability user in his past life. But it seemed that he hadn't awakened yet, and could a regular level 9 crystal compare with a level 9 dual system ability crystal? Thinking of this, Chenluo immediately recounted how he had stolen his crystals before, and how he had found out about his king level mutant, spelling it all out. At this moment, Yu finally understood. So the mole beside me isn't Gaoyang, but you, Wan Jiangui, you scum. I've treated you so well, why would you betray me? Saying this, Yu burst into flames, which indicated that he had awakened his dual abilities. Clearly, his second ability was fire-based. At that moment, Yu arrogantly said, didn't expect to awaken my dual abilities at this moment. It seems fate is on my side. Now my power has also reached level 10. Chenluo, I will tear you to pieces. Then he smirked and continued, Chenluo, now I'm also a pseudo level 10, and I have dual abilities. Let's see how you can compete with me now. This greatly alarmed Wan Jiangui on the side, who quickly hugged Chenluo's thigh and shouted, Master Chen, he has awakened his dual abilities now. I'm guessing you're no match for him anymore. Let's run away together. But Chenluo was not impressed. He even swept Wan Jiangui away with his hand. To Yu's disbelief, Chenluo instantly appeared in front of him, then grabbed Yu's neck and said, I forgot to tell you, I'm also a dual system ability user, and my level is above yours. However, Yu was not fazed, still shouting, who are you trying to fool? The next second, a terrifying fire-based ability burst out from Yu, scaring Wan Jiangui, who immediately turned and ran. To avoid collateral damage, Chenluo instantly decided to relocate for a decisive battle. After he shouted void walking, the two instantly appeared at a zombie stronghold, because he wanted to see if Yu's luck could attract another king-level zombie before his death. At this point, Yu frantically said, what the hell do you want to do to me? Chenluo didn't respond, but instead raised his right hand high and fiercely slapped him on the forehead. Instantly, blood spurted out from Yu's nose and mouth, but just as Chenluo raised his arm to strike again, Yu immediately unleashed a fire-based ability towards him, then took the opportunity to break free. Seeing this, Yu didn't hesitate, and without a word, turned and ran. But Yu had only taken a few steps when he was pulled back by Chenluo through spatial exile. Then he summoned a sword of void and slashed at Yu. Faced with this sword, Yu could only widen his eyes and await his death. However, just as Chenluo was about to decapitate him, a flash of golden light suddenly illuminated the sky. Following the direction of the light, they found a female zombie bathed in the holy light. This couldn't help but earn Chenluo's praise for Yu. You truly are a child of fortune. You actually attracted another king-level mutant before dying. At this point, the mutant angrily said, what are you two jabbering about? You're too noisy. And then she shot several huge golden beams at them. Seeing this, Chenluo instantly used void walking to dodge. But Yu, who couldn't use void walking, wasn't so lucky, because the speed of the light was too fast. He could only stand his ground and take the hit. What Chenluo never expected was, not only was Yu unscathed, but his power also suddenly increased several times. Seeing this scene, Chenluo was completely dumbfounded. This is truly outrageous. How else would you describe him as having a god-tier luck? Such ridiculous events could actually happen to him. At that moment, Yu waved his hand, and several fire blades, each several meters long, suddenly appeared in front of Chenluo. Although Chenluo was quite shocked, he was far from frightened, as the situation had not yet slipped out of his control. But Yu thought otherwise, and taunted, Chenluo, prepare to die. Today, I will tear you to pieces, to quell the hatred in my heart. Saying that, he suddenly charged towards Chenluo in the air, only to be sent back to the ground by Chenluo's spatial exile. Then, seizing the opportunity, he immediately applied time acceleration to the mutant on the side. Only 2 seconds had passed, and the mutant died on the spot under Yu's astonished gaze. Chenluo didn't hesitate, and quickly retrieved the king-level crystal from the mutant, before storing it in his own ability space. Before Yu could even figure out what was happening, Chenluo cast time acceleration on him. At this moment, Yu felt as if someone had hit the fast-forward button on him. His body began to twitch uncontrollably. The next second, he felt like a deflated balloon, as power continuously drained from his body. Realizing something was wrong, Yu immediately dropped to his knees. He was about to beg for mercy, but was met with a harsh slap on the face from Chenluo. Chenluo initially wanted to spare him to exploit a bug, utilizing his luck-based physique to obtain king-level crystals. But recalling the events that just occurred, he felt a shiver down his spine. Keeping this guy around was too risky. If not for his mastery of time acceleration, he would have nearly capsized in the gutter earlier. Thinking this, Chenluo immediately said, I'm in a good mood today. If you have any last wishes, say them now. As long as it's not unreasonable, I can fulfill it. Hearing this, Yu shouted, last wish is your grandma's leg. I curse you with my life to die a horrible death, abandoned by all. But before he could even finish his sentence, Chenluo decisively severed his head with a sword. He then promptly took out Yu's dual element, level 9 wind and fire crystal, planning to give this crystal to his sister, Miling. Meanwhile, on the other side, an unusual event suddenly occurred within Poseidon's palace. It turns out an orca had advanced to king level, and it was the brother of the orca that Chenluo had previously hunted. Originally, Baihao would never allow such a threat to emerge if it weren't for dealing with Chenluo, it would have devoured the orca to enhance its own strength without hesitation. But now it needs a helper to deal with Sea Princess and congealed frost. So, it immediately proposed to appoint Orca as its left guardian, saying, I am willing to work with you to avenge your brother. I've already found out the location of Chenluo's base. Do you have the courage to accompany me? Hearing this, Orca didn't hesitate and immediately expressed his willingness to follow Poseidon's orders, saying, let's go and eliminate that Chenluo. Rice sensed that Chenluo was in imminent danger and informed him that a group of powerful beings from the sea would come to Dawn City to seek revenge today. Hearing this, Chenluo froze, muttering to himself, isn't this referring to Poseidon by how? In another 2 or 3 days, I could have advanced to king level. Then even 10 by house would be no match for me. But this guy has to show up today of all days. What can I do? I can't abandon everyone. Feeling perplexed, Rice suddenly jumped into his arms and said, don't worry, it will be a close call, but you'll be safe. And the special ability fusion technique you've been yearning for has come into play. This skill is enough to turn the tide. Hearing this, Chenluo was overjoyed and shouted, I can finally use that space-time ability. He then hastily went to find Mi Li, wanting to share this good news, but he found Mi Li wearing glasses, deeply engrossed in a book. Seeing this, Chenluo quickly asked, do you have myopia? But you look pretty good in glasses. Mi Li hurriedly explained, no, I don't have myopia. I just feel that wearing glasses gives reading a certain feel. At that moment, Chenluo suddenly embraced Mi Li from behind and then gave her a king-level light crystal. Meanwhile, on the other side, Poseidon Baihao was rallying his troops to prepare for a fight to the death with Chenluo, declaring that everyone must participate in this operation. Upon hearing this, various sea creatures responded, Lord Poseidon, it's not that we don't want to, but that we can't. We don't even have legs. We can't exert our full strength on land. Sending us shrimp soldiers and crab generals won't be of any help. We should stay and guard our home instead. Hearing this, Orca became furious and shouted, stop the nonsense. Whoever dares say no again, I'll kill them on the spot. Those who can't fly will ride on me and Lord Poseidon. Just then, White Gull suddenly descended from the sky into Poseidon's palace, muttering, count me in. I know the guy who can disappear in the blink of an eye. The first time I met him, he tried to kill me and take my crystal. Hearing this, Baihao quickly asked, who are you? Why should we believe you? A nearby seagull quickly explained, Lord Poseidon, this is my friend White Gull. I can vouch for the truth of her words. White Gull then snorted, so you're Poseidon. Your strength doesn't seem to be anything special. You're making a big deal out of dealing with a human. You should know that guy was scared away by just one of my glances. Although these words made Poseidon lose face, it desperately needed help at this moment. So, it reluctantly agreed to let White Gull join, thinking to itself, a mere seagull dares to mock me. After I've dealt with that Chenluo, you'll be the first one I kill. Subsequently, Baihao and Orca led their shrimp soldiers and crab generals to the shore, hoping to catch Chenluo off guard. But as soon as they emerged from the sea, they found Chenluo and his companions, who had been waiting for them for some time. Upon seeing this, Chenluo didn't hesitate, immediately unleashing a fusion technique involving both time and space. The next second, a blue beam of light shot up into the sky. Following that, a long-haired, bearded Chenluo appeared at the other end of the beam. Seeing this, Chenluo was stunned, thinking to himself, isn't that future me? Is this technique about summoning my future self to help me fight? This realization delighted Chenluo, knowing that his future self had emperor-level strength, which is above king level. With him on his side, even 10 by house would be no match. However, strangely enough, no one else could see the beam of light. It turned out that this technique wasn't what Chenluo had thought. It didn't bring his future self into the present, but rather created a temporal tunnel to borrow strength from his future self. The next second, future Chenluo began transmitting his power to present Chenluo. At this point, Baihao arrogantly said, kid, give me back my armor right now, or I'll destroy your base. Chenluo ignored him and continued to absorb the transferred power. This infuriated Baihao, who shouted, you dare to ignore me. Then he charged at Chenluo. At this moment, Chenluo's face turned pale, thinking, why is the transfer of power so slow? It wasn't that he was afraid Baihao would interrupt the power transfer. The Chenluo in this time was merely an illusion. He couldn't be harmed by any attacks during this period. Realizing this, Chenluo yelled at Sea Princess and congealed frost, run, quickly, find a way to buy us 2 minutes. Unexpectedly, they couldn't hear the voice of Chenluo from another timeline, and assumed Chenluo was asking them to guard him. Without a second thought, they charged towards Baihao. Just at this moment, White Gull suddenly swooped down from the sky towards the two of them, quickly casting an illusion spell on Sea Princess and congealed frost. At this moment, Chenluo finally realized that this individual was not a zombie, but an evolved red-eyed seagull in human form. Seeing this, Orca didn't hesitate, and immediately used the Blade of Thunder on the two under the illusion spell. By the time they broke free from the illusion, they had already missed the best opportunity to escape. Luckily, Sea Princess cast the Shield of Darkness just in time, saving both from a close call. An enraged Sea Princess immediately unleashed the Eye of Darkness, planning to eliminate the one capable of casting illusions. Congealed Frost, understanding Sea Princess's intention, synchronized and cast his ultimate skill, the Icebound Spear, towards White Gull. However, just as both skills were about to land, Baihao suddenly suddenly appeared and blocked the fatal blow, murmuring, "You think you're so great? Let's see what you can do." Upon hearing this, White Gull slightly smiled, saying, "As you wish." She then once again cast the kaleidoscopic blood will on Sea Princess, hoping to invoke the killing instinct inside her, making her lose her sanity completely and turn into a bloodthirsty demon. Her potential was also fully unlocked. The now irrational Sea Princess summoned the Eye of Darkness, beginning indiscriminate attacks on everyone present. This infuriated Poseidon, who shouted at White Gull, "Are you sure this skill isn't just amplifying her powers? If she hadn't attacked Congealed Frost as well, I would have thought you're a mole on their side." At this point, even Baihao didn't dare to confront Sea Princess directly, so it decided to avoid her for now and dash into Dawn City to eliminate Qianluo's subordinates first. Unexpectedly, only half of Qianluo's power had been transferred at this moment, and he could only watch helplessly as Baihao led the seafood army into Dawn City. Soon, Orca, who was leading the charge, found the core area of the base, and without hesitation cast his ultimate skill, the Thunder of Five Heavens, shouting, "Qianluo, you killed my brother. Today I will take the lives of all your loved ones to avenge him." Seeing this, Su Daju didn't hesitate, and immediately enlarged his body several times in an attempt to block the lightning. But how could an 8th level Su Daju withstand a king level ultimate skill? However, just as Orca was about to bring down the 5 heavenly thunderbolts, Meili suddenly transformed into a huge shadow and took the hit. It turned out that Qianluo was concerned for Meili's safety and had given her the gemstone from his Poseidon armor. As all the special abilities stored in the gemstone were exhausted, the protective shield shattered with a crack. Seeing this, Orca was shocked and alarmed, shouting, "How is this possible? Are there other king level fighters here?" But the observant Baihao quickly figured it out, murmuring, "I was wondering why something felt off about Qianluo's armor." So, he gave the gemstone to this woman. Their relationship must be special. With that in mind, he rushed toward Meili, shouting, "Foolish humans, give me your lives." Fortunately, Congealed Frost arrived in time to freeze Baihao with her skill, saving Meili from imminent danger. But unexpectedly, Orca released another ultimate skill aimed at Meili. In the nick of time, Thunder King appeared and pushed Meili out of the way. Just as Thunder King was preparing to go head-to-head with Orca, White Gull suddenly appeared and cast an illusion spell on him. The next second, Thunder King's eyes became vacant. At the same time, Baihao broke free from Congealed Frost's freeze, preparing to move in for the kill. Realizing that she couldn't save Meili from 3 king-level fighters by herself, Congealed Frost knew she could only stall for time, waiting for Qianluo to come to the rescue. It seemed that now was the time to use that ultimate move. "Goodbye, Qianluo. Goodbye, friends of Dawn City," she muttered as she released her ultimate skill, the Sorrow of Frost. Suddenly, Snow White Frost began to fall from the sky, and Congealed Frost collapsed, her heart stopping. The next second, the 3 king-level fighters were completely frozen by Congealed Frost, at the cost of her own life. Meanwhile, on the other side, Qianluo finally completed his power transfer, instantly breaking through from king level to emperor level. Not pausing to feel the once familiar yet powerful energy, he immediately teleported back to Dawn City. But what he saw was Meili holding Congealed Frost, crying uncontrollably, shouting, "Congealed Frost, how could you be so foolish? You sacrificed your own life to save me. I won't let you die." Saying this, Meili began to cast healing spells on Congealed Frost continuously. However, no matter how hard Meili tried, there was no sign of life from Congealed Frost. Seeing this, Meili didn't hesitate and immediately cast her newly learned ultimate skill, Resurrection. Qianluo wanted to stop her, knowing that using the Resurrection spell could risk shattering her crystal. But on second thought, Congealed Frost had lost her life to save Meili. It's unlikely Meili would listen to anything he said now. Moreover, Rice's prophecy didn't mention any danger to Meili. Thinking this, Qianluo hesitated, unable to speak. Unexpectedly, even after casting the Resurrection spell, Congealed Frost still showed no signs of waking up. At this moment, Meili broke down completely, constantly shouting, "Why did the resurrection fail? Congealed Frost, wake up!" Seeing this, Qianluo was instantly furious, muttering to himself, "You 3 worthless beings dare to kill my sister? None of you are leaving here alive today." Just then, Poseidon Baihao was the first to break free from Congealed Frost's freeze, taunting, "Mermaid, you're quite strong, sacrificing your own life to trap me. That's utterly foolish. All you did was delay the inevitable." Before he could finish, a hand silently appeared in front of him. With a slap, a resounding slap landed squarely on Baihao's face. The next second, he flew back like a cannonball, rolling on the ground for more than a mile before coming to a stop. At this moment, Baihao was completely dumbfounded, muttering to himself, "How did this kid get so strong in just a few days?" With that, he threw a powerful punch at Qianluo, only for Qianluo to effortlessly block it with a casual lift of his hand. Seeing this, Orca, who was standing nearby, didn't hesitate. "Lord Poseidon, allow me to assist you." As he spoke, he began to conjure his ultimate move, Apocalypse Thunderstorm. Baihao immediately yelled at Orca, "Are you an idiot? This guy has the ability to teleport. Why would he stand still and let you attack him?" Qianluo chuckled, "How do you know I won't stand still and take the hit? This time, I'm going to disappoint you." Saying this, Qianluo grabbed Baihao and used him as a shield, raising him in front of himself. This scared Poseidon quite a bit. Seeing Orca's ultimate move rapidly approach, approaching. Are you crazy? Put me down. Chenluo ignored him and instead cast a spatial banishment spell on the thawing white gull. He then lifted both Baihao and White Gull high, using them to block Orca's apocalypse thunderstorm. This scared both of them, frantically shouting, "What's going on? Let us go, you maniac!" But before they could finish, the apocalypse thunderstorm hit them squarely, followed by an earth-shattering explosion. Chenluo stood there, holding Poseidon with one hand and stepping on White Gull, boastfully saying, "Dare to force my sister to her death? None of you worthless beings are leaving here alive today." Unwilling to give up, White Gull attempted to use illusions to control Chenluo, but no matter how she deployed her ultimate techniques, the illusions had no effect on Chenluo. This left White Gull utterly baffled. She had never failed with this technique before, so why was it ineffective against him? Before she could figure it out, Chenluo crushed her like an ant, turning this king-level powerful being into pulp. In that instant, Baihao, who fancied himself Poseidon, felt an overwhelming sense of despair, controlled by fear. He thought to himself, "It's only been a few days. How has this guy become so terrifyingly strong?" Seeing all this, Orca wasn't stupid either, and immediately prepared to make a run for it. Chenluo, however, wasn't indulging him, and instantly used Void Walk to appear in front of him, murmuring, "You miss your brother, don't you? I'll send you to reunite with him." Hearing this, Orca's face hardened, as he quickly conjured a great power of thunder, preparing to self-destruct. But how could Chenluo give him that opportunity? The next second, he unleashed the Void Sword, and immediately sliced him into 18 pieces. This scared Baihao quite a bit, who frantically shouted, "How is this possible? Even I don't have the ability to kill Orca in an instant. Is this really the same human who only knew how to run away?" Hearing this, Chenluo grinned. "Don't worry, you're next, but I won't let you die that easily." Meanwhile, on the other side, Meili, under the conditions of sorrow, actually advanced her resurrection spell to a higher level, as she again unleashed the sacred light resurrection. A miracle finally occurred. The already deceased congealed frost softly whimpered. This excited Meili to no end, who joyously shouted, "Great, I've finally brought congealed frost back to life." But at that moment, Chenluo suddenly sensed that Sea Princess's aura had weakened, so without a second thought, he used Void Walk to arrive at the seashore, only to find that Sea Princess was already lying on the ground motionless. He immediately rushed forward to check on his sister, grateful that the crystal had not shattered, just that she had fainted due to exhaustion. "It seems the original plan needs to be changed. This position was supposed to be for my sister, but given the current situation, I have no choice but to step up myself." Thinking this, Chenluo immediately grabbed Baihao, because he planned to use him for something earth-shattering. He then immediately stepped on Baihao in front of all the sea creatures, and coldly said, "Everyone, open your eyes and see clearly. This guy is a false god, who dared to steal my divine position to bully and play God. What should be his punishment? Today, I will sacrifice you in public as a warning to others." Having said that, Chenluo tossed him into the air, shouting loudly, "Today, I will let you all witness the power of a true god." Upon hearing this, the sea creatures present were all shocked, exclaiming, "Is this the true power of a god? Baihao is king level, and yet he's utterly powerless in front of Lord Poseidon. Such terrifying power, but who would have known?" Just as those words were spoken, a golden crack suddenly appeared in the sky, and the light emanating from it enveloped the entire heavens and earth. Floating mid-air, Chenluo looked like a descended deity, enumerating the false god's various crimes. However, Baihao remained defiant, still shouting, "I am the true Poseidon. Stop confusing the public with your lies." Hearing this, Chenluo gave a slight smile, then casually waved his hand. The next second, a blade of immense dimensional power sped towards Baihao. Surprisingly, even at death's door, he remained stubborn, shouting, "A firefly dares to compete with the sun and moon." Having said that, he transformed into his true form and charged towards the dimensional blade. However, the moment Baihao touched the blade, his body was instantly cleaved in two as if it were tofu. The aftershock also created a 2 to 300 meter long crack in the ground. The apocalyptic power scared all the sea creatures, who immediately knelt, exclaiming, "This is undoubtedly the power of a god." At that moment, Chenluo solemnly said, "From tonight onwards, I am the king of the sea. Does anyone here object?" Hearing this, a seal immediately knelt in front of Chenluo and shouted, "I serve Lord Poseidon, and am willing to be at your service." Looking at the seal on the ground, Chenluo thought that mere display of power would not make them completely loyal. A combination of grace and might was necessary. Thinking of this, Chenluo immediately stated, "Seal, as the first to submit to me, I decide to bestow upon you divine power." Saying this, he applied time acceleration to the seal, and just like a fast-forward button had been pressed, the seal instantly broke through to king level and transformed into a human form. This delighted the seal, who hurriedly exclaimed, "I also have the ability to transform into human form like Baihao. Thank you, Lord Poseidon, for granting me divine power." Saying this, it didn't stop from kissing Chenluo's feet. Seeing this, Chenluo immediately began to speak with utter seriousness. "As long as everyone listens to me obediently, I guarantee that you will all obtain this ability within a year." Upon hearing this, the sea creatures all shouted in unison, "We serve Lord Poseidon. We swear allegiance to Lord Poseidon to the death." Little did they know, these sea creatures were mostly at level 9 or 10, and even without Chenluo using time acceleration on them, they would naturally advance advance to king level within a year. But just at that moment, Golden Eagle suddenly appeared above Chenluo, continuously letting out urgent cries. It seemed to be telling its master that something significant had happened. Then it flew straight into the base, indicating that something was going on inside. Seeing this, Chenluo immediately followed with a void walk, only to find that Golden Eagle's 2 chicks had hatched. Only then did Chenluo realize Golden Eagle was bringing good news, not alerting him to a situation at the base. Seeing this, Chenluo had an idea, muttering to himself that to secure the position of Poseidon, he must demonstrate abilities that would genuinely convince the sea creatures. Thinking this, Chenluo immediately said to Golden Eagle, "I can make your 2 chicks grow up healthy instantly. What do you think?" Hearing this, Golden Eagle was momentarily stunned, then thought, what could be more important in this cruel post-apocalyptic world than my children growing up healthy? It immediately nodded, signaling gratitude for the master's blessing. Hearing this, Chenluo didn't hesitate. He immediately took Golden Eagle and its 2 chicks to the seaside. Then he publicly announced, "These are the 2 children of my mount, Golden Eagle. Due to its constant hard work and unwavering loyalty, I've decided to bestow divine power upon its children." Having said this, Chenluo applied time acceleration to the 2 Golden Eagle chicks. The next second, the 2 palm-sized young Golden Eagles grew into adult forms in front of everyone's eyes. This scared the sea creatures present, who all exclaimed, "This is too miraculous. Lord Poseidon is indeed a true god. Following Lord Poseidon is our only way." Having witnessed Chenluo's ability, all the sea creatures were in awe and admiration. They knew that when they followed the false god Bai Hao, not only did they not get rewarded, they were at risk of being eaten if they weren't careful. At that moment, a seahorse mustered the courage and shouted, "Respected Lord Poseidon, I also have a baby. May I dare to request Lord Poseidon's blessing?" Hearing this, Chenluo grinned and said, "All descendants who are loyal to me can receive my blessing. For now, you all can step back. Come back here in a month with your children." Saying this, he gracefully soared into the sky. But just at that moment, Chenluo suddenly felt as if his heart was being wrenched, and then violently coughed up a mouthful of old blood. It turns out the power he'd borrowed had reached its limit, and using this fusion ability almost shattered his core again. It seemed he would have to reach king level before he could use this space-time ability without backlash. This time, he'd likely need a month to recover. In the following days, Chenluo didn't go wandering. Every day, he rode Golden Eagle and traveled the 4 seas with Mi Li, living like a pair of divine lovers. But just then, Mi Li sensed something was wrong. Looking closer, she saw a huge army of rats approaching Chenluo's base. It looked like they were preparing a large-scale attack on Dawn City. This scared Mi Li quite a bit. Judging by the number of rats, there were likely 1,000,000 or so. And what's worse, it wasn't just ground troops preparing to attack Dawn City. An army of flying ants was also participating. This immediately made Chenluo realize the severity of the situation. 2 species had gathered in such large numbers to invade Dawn City. This battle would be no less than a massive tide of undead. Little did he know that he was the culprit behind this crisis. It turns out that last time when he was picking the illusion fruit tree, he found a rat nest beneath it. He disposed of the attacking rats then, but one female rat had managed to survive. Holding a grudge, she had allied with the Ant Queen for revenge. Having lived 2 lives, Chenluo had never seen so many rats and flying ants. He decided to return to the base immediately, alerting everyone to be on guard. He then found Chen Guan, telling him to alert everyone to gather outside the city to prepare for battle. To test his subordinates, Chenluo announced he wouldn't intervene easily. He'd just supervise from the back. He then pointed at the approaching army and shouted, "I don't care how you do it, but keep these creatures from entering the city. If they get in, our food supplies will be wiped out. Then you'll have to get used to eating rats." As soon as he said this, the morale of the crowd surged. Everyone shouted that they would defend Dawn City to the death, not allowing a single rat to set foot inside. At that moment, the combined army was already approaching the city, launching their first wave of attacks on Dawn City. Seeing this, everyone didn't hesitate, unleashing a powerful offensive against the enemy. Continuous streams of flame, chilling ice abilities, violent wind hurricanes, and dense electric nets caught the enemy off guard in an instant. But just at that moment, the Rat King suddenly made a series of squeaks, as if giving orders to the rat army. The next second, the rat army split in 2, one part attacking Dawn City head-on, while the other part began digging tunnels, preparing to enter Dawn City from below. This frightened everyone greatly, and they shouted for someone to quickly use an area control skill to stop them. Seeing this, Shuyun didn't hesitate, and immediately unleashed her ultimate move, a blizzard, trying to wipe them out in one go. But to everyone's surprise, the flying ant army collectively generated a shield that blocked the attack. Although Shuyun was incredibly shocked, she did not lose her composure. She immediately directed everyone to concentrate their firepower on the flying ant army, needing to break their shield as quickly as possible. But when it rains, pours, before Shuyun could even finish speaking, an ant queen launched a psychic attack, rendering the members who were hit instantly incapacitated. decapitated. This scared Shuyun considerably, wondering if the city she was responsible for was going to fall. Although the levels of these snakes, insects, rats, and ants were not very high, their overwhelming numbers immediately put humans at a disadvantage. As the commanding officer, Shuyun knew the longer the battle dragged on, the worse it would be for everyone. To quickly end the fight, a decapitation strategy was necessary. Thinking this, she immediately drew her bow and aimed at the Ant Queen, then fired a cold ice arrow at it. With a whoosh, the frost-filled arrow hit the Ant Queen dead on, instantly turning it into an ice sculpture. Seeing this, Shuyun hurriedly shouted, "Capture the leader first to stop the army." Everyone quickly focused their firepower to take down the Ant Queen, but just as the words left her mouth, thousands of rats suddenly emerged from the ground. Before anyone had time to react, several team members were killed in this sneak attack by the rats. Just in the nick of time, Yinling deployed a spatial storm, annihilating all the rats that had emerged from the tunnels. Seeing this, Qianluo couldn't help but praise, "Truly, my star pupil, you've turned the tide of the battle with a single move." The appearance of Yinling also alerted the mother rat to the crisis. It knew that it had only one chance for revenge. If this operation failed, it would never be able to assemble such a large rat army again. Damn humans not only destroyed my home, but also slaughtered my entire clan. If I don't avenge this, I swear I won't be a rat. Since I am bound to lose this battle, I won't let you get away easily even if I die. Having said this, the mother rat ordered its army to make a final charge. Seeing this, Yinling immediately pointed at the mother rat and shouted, "Everyone, focus your firepower on that rat." But just as the words left her mouth, a thick black mist erupted from the mother rat's body, and it emitted a series of sinister squeaks. The next second, the members who inhaled the black mist began to spurt blood from their mouths. In an instant, the black mist enveloped the entire Dawn City. Qianluo immediately realized something was off. Silently cursing, "These damned rats have unleashed a plague." Although the plague wouldn't be life-threatening, it would cause any member below level 8 to instantly lose combat capabilities. Just as Qianluo was preparing to order lower-level members to evacuate, a gigantic eye of darkness suddenly appeared in the sky. Upon closer inspection, he saw that Sea Princess was controlling the eye of darkness, constantly absorbing the black mist, murmuring, "Such immense power. This is like a tonic for me." Saying this, she herself began greedily absorbing the black mist. In just 2 minutes, the black mist that had shrouded the base was completely absorbed by Sea Princess. Meanwhile, on the other side, Big Strong had surprisingly won over the top beauty of the zombie world, Thorn Queen. The Queen not only voluntarily gave him various high-level crystals to absorb, but also expressed her intent to help him overthrow Qianluo and take over Dawn City, to make him the true king of this post-apocalyptic world. Hearing this, Big Strong was visibly shocked, muttering to himself, "I've just gotten comfortable eating off the Queen. Why is she hellbent on taking down my big brother? How can I dissuade her from this idea? I can't very well tell her that I'm an undercover agent sent by Qianluo." Just as he was at a loss, one of his underlings suddenly ran over shouting, "Big Strong bro, there's trouble. I just saw that your new henchman Li Hua is hiding a high-level crystal." Hearing this, Thorn Queen was immediately furious, saying, "I've been providing for Li Hua, giving him shelter, and he dares to hoard a crystal. This ungrateful wretch must not be kept." Hearing this, Big Strong didn't hesitate. He immediately lunged forward and grabbed Li Hua by the neck, demanding to know why he was hiding the crystal. But before Big Strong could even finish, Li Hua casually shook off the grip, muttering, "I wanted to lie low and grow stronger while under your roof, but now that I'm exposed, we'll meet again later." Saying this, he transformed into a streak of fire and vanished from Big Strong's sight. Seeing this, Big Strong was visibly shocked, never expecting to harbor such an extraordinary master in his base. This guy must have ulterior motives for hiding here. I need to urgently inform my big brother to take care of this problem. Meanwhile, on the other side, Qianluo had just finished dealing with the rat swarm when he received a psychic message from Big Strong. But when he heard the name Li Hua, he was instantly stunned. That guy has a significant background. He was the first regular zombie to ascend to king level in his past life. Since humanity's highest level fighters were only level 9 at that time, no one could match him. To protect themselves, people had to regularly supply him with fresh meat, which was a major reason for humanity's extinction in the past life. Now having been reborn, Qianluo would naturally not indulge him. He immediately told Big Strong, "I'm aware of the situation, but I'm currently in seclusion. Once I'm out in a few days, I'll help you sort this out." Just then, a voice suddenly came through the walkie-talkie from the sentry. "Brother Chen, there's a level 8 ability user named Fang Feichen who wants to meet you." Hearing this, Qianluo immediately instructed the sentry to bring him to the conference room to wait, saying, "I'll be right there. Be polite to him. In my past life, this person was not only a formidable king-level fighter, but he also died tragically at the hands of Li Hua protecting humanity." Qianluo then quickly arrived at the conference room and asked him what his business was. Fang Feichen got straight to the point, saying, "Leader Chen, do you realize you've become a target? Aside from your territory, most people can only survive by eating rats, and you've recently killed tens of thousands of rats. Driven by hunger, they'll inevitably launch a major attack on your Dawn City. What will you do then?" Hearing this, Qianluo chuckled, "I'd like to hear your insights." Upon hearing this, Fang Feichen Fei-chan immediately said, I think you should open your granaries and distribute food. These are pitiable people. There's no need to kill them off completely. Hearing this, Qianluo's face instantly changed, and he shouted, Are you teaching me how to run things? Charity has only 0 instances and countless instances. I have no intention of being a great philanthropist. Upon hearing this, Fang Fei-chan was immediately angered, saying, You cold-blooded and heartless man, our paths are different and we seek different things. If that day comes, I'll stand against you. Saying this, Fang Fei-chan turned and left gracefully, if it weren't for the fact that he had sacrificed himself heroically for humanity in his past life. Speaking to Qianluo like this would have been a death wish many times over. Meanwhile, on the other side, Li Hua had also finished absorbing the privately stashed king-level crystal. At this moment, his level had successfully broken through to king level. The first thing he wanted to do was to destroy Dawn City. However, he knew that as the strongest human base, Dawn City would undoubtedly have top-level experts, so he decided to test his newfound king-level strength on another base before taking on Dawn City. Soon enough, he set his sights on Fang Fei-chan's base, deciding to use them for practice. Meanwhile, in another location, Thunder King was also in the area searching for high-level zombies, muttering to himself, This is the most active time for zombies. I might catch a level 10 or higher today. But just as he finished speaking, the base in front of Thunder King was attacked by zombies, and the one leading the attack was the king-level zombie, Li Hua. After his barrage of attacks, the base was filled with screams. People were shouting, Leader Fang, something terrible has happened. Come out and save us. Hearing this, Fang Fei-chan was greatly shocked, thinking to himself, Is this guy a regular zombie or a mutant? Why is he so strong? The next second, Fang Fei-chan was completely dumbfounded. He saw Li Hua in the sky casually waving his hand, sending a fireball tens of meters in size, crashing to the ground. With a loud bang, a crater several tens of meters deep was instantly created on the ground. This scared the people present, and they began to run around like headless chickens. At that moment, Li Hua arrogantly said, Trying to run? It won't be that easy. Even if God himself came, he couldn't save you today. Upon hearing this, Thunder King was immediately enraged, muttering to himself, You're quite arrogant. I'd like to see who gave you the audacity to act like this. With that, Thunder King charged toward Li Hua, shouting, I am the deputy leader of the dogs in Dawn City. You dare to slaughter my human tribe. You're really bold. As he spoke, Thunder King unleashed a purple lightning palm strike toward him, only to be blocked by Li Hua's flame shield. Hearing that this dog was a deputy leader from Dawn City, Li Hua burst into a laughter that sounded like a pig's squeal. I was just curious about the strength of Dawn City's top experts. Didn't expect you to deliver yourself to my doorstep. With that said, Li Hua used his flame meteor fist against Thunder King. Seeing this, Thunder King didn't hesitate, immediately using wind and thunder flash to dodge the attack, murmuring, You think you can hit me with that speed? You're dreaming. But just as he finished speaking, Li Hua unleashed his flame-rising dragon tyrant at Thunder King. Although Thunder King dodged multiple fire dragons in time, he was caught off guard by one. Seeing the situation was dire, Thunder King immediately opened his mouth and took a deep breath, then unleashed a lightning hurricane to disperse the fire dragon. Although this maneuver allowed Thunder King to narrowly escape, the wind actually fanned the flames, making them burn even more intensely. Several columns of fire shot up like a volcanic eruption, forming a fire cage that trapped Thunder King. Although Thunder King's wind and thunder flash was fast, it couldn't escape the cage like Qianluo's ability to walk through the void. Trapped, Thunder King was immediately at a disadvantage, taking a solid hit from Li Hua. Before Thunder King could recover, a massive fire dragon formation swept towards him. At this moment, Thunder King had no way to escape, and if hit by this attack, he estimated that he would most likely die here today. Seeing this, the dog leader didn't hesitate at all. He immediately conjured purple lightning to confront the enemy head-on. Under Thunder King's full-on assault, he finally managed to shake off the 4 fire dragons that were entangling him. Seeing this, Li Hua was instantly shocked. He didn't expect that the dog could break through his ultimate move. Unwilling to accept defeat, Li Hua once again deployed his fire dragon formation towards Thunder King. The dog leader, having learned his lesson, wasn't foolish. Without a second thought, he used wind lightning flash to dodge. He thought to himself, I want to see how long you can maintain your ultimate move. After all, my wind lightning flash consumes very little energy. Once you run out, let's see how I take you down. This really angered Li Hua. He hurriedly cursed, calling Thunder King a coward. If you're so tough, stop running. Hearing this, Thunder King chuckled. I'll run. What can you do about it? Come and chase me, you idiot. At this moment, Li Hua also realized he was being baited. If this continues, his powers will be drained in no time. Thinking this, he immediately rushed to the ground. Then he yelled, So you want to play the hero? I'm going to destroy your Dawn City now. With that, he grabbed Fang Fei-chan by the throat and yelled, Tell me where Dawn City is. Speak up, and I might spare your life. Though he disapproves of Dawn City's ways, he isn't an ungrateful lowlife. He knows if Thunder King hadn't intervened, none of them, including himself, would have gotten away. Even when subjected to the fiery torture, he didn't leak a single detail about Dawn City. He was burned alive. Yet Fang Fei-chan never gave in to the enemy. Thunder King wanted to step in and save him, but unfortunately, Unfortunately, he was a step too late. Seeing Thunder King escape his fire dragons once more, Li Hua was utterly enraged this time. The next second, two pillars of fire erupted around him, but this time, his target wasn't Thunder King, it was himself. Before the dog leader could react, he suddenly appeared in front of Thunder King as if propelled by a rocket. He then directly grabbed Thunder King's left leg, muttering, "You like to run, don't you? Now let's see where you can run. Prepare to die." As he spoke, a burst of intense flame erupted from his body, aiming to roast Thunder King inside and out. Yet Thunder King didn't show a hint of fear. Instead, he grinned and asked, "Are you an insulator? Let me introduce you to 1,000,000 volts." As soon as he finished speaking, a surge of dominant purple electricity instantly spread throughout his body, forcing Li Hua to let go in self-preservation. Before he could understand what was happening, a bolt of purple lightning suddenly descended from the sky. Thunder King's counterattack officially began. With a deafening boom, the bolt of lightning struck directly at Li Hua. However, he was extremely quick to react, immediately deploying a fire shield for protection. Seeing this, Thunder King wasted no time, immediately releasing 6 bolts of lightning in quick succession. Under Thunder King's relentless assault, although this wave of attack consumed a lot of energy, it didn't deal fatal damage to Li Hua. However, Li Hua had almost completely drained his own powers to defend against the lightning. At this moment, Li Hua couldn't help but sigh. If a dog from Dawn City can do this to me, what will happen if their leader comes? Thinking of this, Li Hua quickly proposed a ceasefire, arguing that continuing would only lead to mutual destruction. Thunder King disagreed, saying, "I've finally drained your powers, and you still have the audacity? Today, I must bring back a king-level crystal for my master." As he spoke, Thunder King launched a Chidori Rasengan at him. This truly frightened Li Hua. He immediately shouted, "I'm going all in. It's either you die or I die today." Saying this, he used his remaining powers to block the lethal attack. Seeing this, Thunder King didn't hesitate, immediately using Thundering Tail Sweep at point-blank range. With a bang, Li Hua was sent flying by this unexpected attack. Seeing this, Li Hua immediately yelled, "You dirty dog, no sense of martial ethics, using your tail to ambush me?" In response, Thunder King didn't bother with idle talk. He rushed towards him, trailing sparks and lightning. At that moment, Thunder King was like a hungry tiger breaking into a flock of sheep, wielding his claws recklessly, massacring freely. He hit him with a 79 combo move right on the spot. But it's not over yet. Thunder King immediately followed up with a lightning whip combo, only stopping his attack when he saw his opponent finally defeated. By the time Chenluo arrived, he found that the great battle had long since ended. At that moment, Thunder King said proudly, "Master, why did you take so long to get here? I just took out a king-level zombie who was planning to attack our Dawn City. About the guy who visited our base yesterday, he's a real man. No matter how the zombie tried to torture him for information, he never revealed the location of our Dawn City." Upon hearing this, Chenluo fell into deep thought. Unexpectedly, in this life, Fang Feichen still didn't change his destiny, still dying at the hands of Li Hua. However, the once arrogant Li Hua had fallen into the hands of Thunder King. Life really is full of surprises. Meanwhile, on Big Strong's side, his minions brought forward the recently captured humans. This guy wasn't stupid. Seeing the situation, he immediately knew that Big Strong was the zombie king here. He quickly shouted, "Don't kill me. I'm the leader of the base. I can provide you with fresh meat on a regular basis." Hearing this, Big Strong disdainfully said, "I won't kill you, but besides providing food, you'll also have to gather information from the human side for me." Hearing this, the bearded man quickly knocked his head on the ground 3 times, then shouted, "Thank you, great king, for sparing my life. I am willing to serve you." Seeing this, Big Strong immediately acted the part, saying, "Very good. If you have any troubles in the future, you can come to me. I'll take care of it for you." The man's name is Gaoyang. After Big Strong promised to help him with any troubles, he began to plot his own plans. "My biggest problem right now is Dawn City. With this behemoth in place, our smaller bases can't recruit any elites. Only by overthrowing Dawn City can I expand my base. Humans and zombies have always been at odds, and the zombie king must also consider Dawn City a thorn in his side. So, all I need to do is to ally with the zombie king, as well as some other bases that also dislike Dawn City, to get rid of this nuisance." Upon this thought, he immediately thought of Wan Jiangui. Not long ago, Chenluo had killed his older brother, Yu. Wan Jiangui must harbor a deep grudge against Chenluo. Shi Gaoyang promptly sought out Wan Jiangui to share his plan, asking if he'd like to join an anti-Dawn City alliance. Hearing this, Wan Jiangui instantly said, "I can't coexist with Chenluo. If I can avenge my brother, I'll gladly join." Hearing this, Shi Gaoyang grinned, saying, "Then we will jointly work against Dawn City. I've also acknowledged the zombie king as my big brother today. With his help, what's Chenluo?" Little did he know, the help he sought to fight against Chenluo was actually Chenluo's own followers. Wan Jiangui also smirked to himself, thinking, "I'm going to accomplish a great feat again. This guy must be mad to go against Chen the Immortal." Thinking this, he immediately used telepathy to send this information to Chenluo, asking if he should sabotage the plan secretly. Chenluo just smiled slightly, saying, "No need to stop them. Let them establish the anti-Dawn City alliance. I want to see how many people dare to oppose me. This way, I can eliminate them all at once." "You've done well this time," Wan Jinbue. Continue observing and contact me immediately if anything comes up. Having said that, Chenluo resumed his absorption of crystals. Just thinking about their faces when they find out that the zombie king is his follower, he could hardly hold back his laughter. Meanwhile, on the other side, Rice had another breakthrough in strength. However, when Mealy opened the door, she froze in place and shouted, "Who are you?" At this moment, a cat-eared girl spoke in a cute voice, saying, "I'm Rice." Saying this, Rice jumped into Mealy's arms, murmuring, "I've finally evolved into a human form." Mealy curiously asked, "Why do you have ears and a tail, just like Thunder King? Should we ask Sister Congealed Frost?" After everyone discussed, the conclusion was that Thunder King and Rice both morphed into human forms at level 10, which is why they both still have tails and ears. Just then, Chenluo also arrived. Before he could recover from his shock, Rice suddenly rushed over shouting, "Chenluo, will you play games with me after dinner?" Hearing this, Chenluo instantly felt as if he gained a daughter. Something felt odd about this. However, when he returned to his room, he instantly felt something was wrong. Pulling back the covers, he found Rice hiding inside, muttering, "You big idiot, why did you take so long? I've been waiting for you." This unreasonable request was immediately rejected by Chenluo. "You used to sleep with me all the time. Why can't you do it today?" Hearing this, Chenluo immediately responded in a flustered manner, "Rice, you're not a little kitten anymore. You need to learn to sleep on your own now. Besides, you've evolved into a human form. It's not appropriate for us to share a bed anymore." Upon hearing this, Rice could only nod reluctantly. Even though Rice looked extremely cute at the moment, Chenluo resisted the temptation to let her stay in the room. Instead, he told her to sleep in Mealy's room for the night, saying, "I'll arrange a new room for you tomorrow." Left with no choice, Rice obediently agreed. Chenluo then immediately resumed absorbing crystals. As tomorrow was the day he had promised to bestow divine power upon the sea creatures, he had to break through to king level tonight. Otherwise, the time acceleration wouldn't have the magical effects. After 2 hours of absorption, Chenluo finally reached king level. With the boost from his dual abilities, his actual strength had reached the mid-level of the king tier. Although not as strong as the borrowed emperor level power, it was more than enough to fool the sea creatures. The next morning, Chenluo notified Zhao Zi through telepathy, asking her to accompany him to the seaside, where she would be responsible for marking the sea creatures with a mental imprint for future communication. He then took Zhao Zi on the Golden Eagle to fulfill the appointment. Zhao Zi, aware of the situation, didn't hesitate, even asking if she could be rewarded with some delicious food for completing the task. Before she could finish, a man on the ground caught Chenluo's attention. The next second, Chenluo couldn't help but swear, exclaiming, "Well, I've finally caught you this lifetime." The man's name was Su Koen, and in their past lives, he and Chenluo had a deep-seated grudge. 3 years after the apocalypse in their previous life, food became extremely scarce. The two once fought over a 2-year expired sausage, and what angered Chenluo more was that Su Koen tricked him and swallowed the sausage, packaging and all. Thinking of this, Chenluo angrily ordered the Golden Eagle to land, muttering to himself, "I always seek revenge." Seeing the Golden Eagle descending from the sky, Su Koen was also startled, shouting, "What are you trying to do?" Ignoring his question, Chenluo pulled out a sausage and asked, "Do you want to join me? I've heard of you. You're a top-tier Earth Element ability user, quite powerful." Hearing this, Su Koen didn't give in. He immediately pulled out 2 sausages and retorted boldly, "Who are you looking down upon? I offer you 2 sausages. How about you join me?" Hearing this, Chenluo didn't argue with Su Koen, but instead asked, "Where are you guys going?" Upon hearing the question, Su Koen immediately said, "We're heading to the seaside to catch some seafood." Got a problem with that? As soon as the words were out, Chenluo directly told him, "Not only do I have a problem with it, I forbid you from doing so." Hearing this, Su Koen immediately burst into a fit of rage, shouting, "Do you live by the sea? Why are you interfering? You're not going to say the ocean is your private property, are you?" Chenluo grinned, "Heh, believe it or not, the ocean is indeed my private property." Su Koen was skeptical and retorted, "The ocean is common property for all humans. What right do you have to forbid me from fishing?" Chenluo grinned again, "Believe it or not, how about I prove it to you right now?" Hearing this, Su Koen angrily said, "Go ahead, I'd like to see what you've got to prove the ocean belongs to you." Seeing his nemesis from his past life turning red with anger, Chenluo was inwardly very pleased, thinking, recruiting this guy as a subordinate wouldn't be bad. What's more satisfying than ordering around your nemesis? But just then, one of Su Koen's henchmen suddenly ran over, shouting, "Something terrible has happened. Su Koen, run! A female monster is attacking from the seaside. She's already destroyed 2 bases." At that moment, a psychic ability user also quickly approached, adding, "Su Koen, their words are true. I sensed a strong creature approaching. We should run." Seeing Su Koen ready to flee, Chenluo quickly grabbed his hand, muttering, "What's there to be afraid of when I'm here?" But just as the words left his mouth, a sea dog that had transformed into a human shape suddenly charged towards them, shouting, "You're all going to die." Seeing this, Chenluo smirked and thought to himself, "So it's this guy. Is this not the perfect opportunity to show off?" He then shouted at the sea dog, "How audacious. Dare to act so recklessly in my presence?" This scared Su Koen, who was standing nearby, shouting, "Bro, how dare you confront such a powerful creature? Don't get me killed if you're seeking threatening death. But before he could finish speaking, the sea dog in the sky let out a cackling laugh. "Ignorant humans, I'll tear you into pieces." Upon hearing this, Chenluo was so embarrassed that he could dig a hole with his toes. The atmosphere instantly turned icy, as people were waiting to see Chenluo make a fool of himself. This really angered Chenluo, who immediately used a spatial banishment spell to pull the sea dog closer. At that moment, the sea dog came to its senses, fixing her unwavering eyes on the figure of Poseidon before her. Then, with a thump, it kneeled on the ground, shouting hurriedly, "Greetings, Poseidon. I was not aware of your arrival and failed to welcome you from afar. Please forgive me, Lord Poseidon." Upon hearing this, Chenluo immediately kicked the sea dog away, shouting, "You dare defy me? Have you grown tired of living?" Hearing this, the sea dog crawled back to Chenluo, shouting, "I wouldn't dare. I am your most loyal servant, Lord. Even if you gave me 10 times the courage, I wouldn't dare to defy you." Upon hearing this, Chenluo became even more annoyed. "I've been calling you for so long and you've ignored me. On top of that, you even dared to threaten to tear me apart." The sea dog then finally realized, "Could it be that I offended you while I was out of my senses just now? What should I do?" Thinking of this, the sea dog began to repeatedly slap its own face, continuously saying, "Please forgive me, Lord Poseidon. I was momentarily out of my senses and offended you. Please spare my life, Lord Poseidon." Seeing that Chenluo remained silent, the sea dog immediately began to kowtow and apologize with loud thumps. This scared Su Kulin, who was standing nearby, muttering to himself, "This creature has king-level strength, yet it is so humble in front of Chenluo. Just what kind of terrifying existence is this guy?"